Good morning, students. Let us continue with our next section for identity and access management, which is a part of Unit 3. And the subtopic we are going to consider today is getting ready for the cloud and IAM standards and specifications for the organization. So here, getting ready for the cloud is an extension of the topic which we have covered in the previous section. So this is the outline, getting ready for the cloud. The organizations are going to get ready for the cloud. If they are not prepared with the infrastructure, they can buy certain infrastructure, invest in some infrastructure. Then about IAM standards and specifications for the organization, under which SAML is one of the main topics that we will be considering. SAML stands for Security Assertion Markup Language, the architecture of that, the entire working structure of that, and followed by certain assignments. So, as we studied in the last session, getting ready for the cloud, organizations basically which are planning to invest for the cloud services, they must basically plan with the basic user management functions like user account provisioning and ongoing user account managements. Ongoing user account managements are those which are already users which are registered and they are ongoing, and this would also include the timely deprovisioning of users. Deprovisioning is a process where once the users are done with their work, all the resources need to be given back. So that process is termed as deprovisioning of users when they are no longer connected to the need to access the cloud service. So organizations that have invested in the identity and access management, they can leverage that existing infrastructure and the architecture, and they can go ahead with the head cloud computing service models. So there are certain enterprise who have not invested basically in the procedures, or they have not established in the identity access management procedures. So they can use the cloud-based technologies or solutions, and there are various vendors who will be providing this. They offer various identity management services, like for example, you have simplified ping identity, conformity, and tri-cipher. So these are some of the standards that are offered by the cloud service providers. Now there are organizations who have to start with the IAM strategy and architecture, and they have to invest right from the foundational technology elements that support user management and federation. So sometimes investment from the foundation technology will be helpful also to the cloud service provider. So federation can help to mitigate risk to the organization, since it supports the SSO, single sign-on user experience, and users will not be able to or will not be required to sign in the multiple times to access the organization services, nor will they have to remember the cloud specific services user authentication information. For one cloud service provider, similar authentication services can be used for the other cloud service provider. So you have a one user ID password pair per provider. So you have to just use the single sign-on concept for various association of cloud service providers. You don't have to sign in for every service of different cloud service providers. Architecting an identity federation model will help organizations gain capabilities to support the IDP, that is termed as identity provider. This is also known as SSO, which means single sign-on provider. This basically helps in using an existing directory service or cloud-based identity management service. So enterprise basically can share identities with the trusted CSPs without sharing user credentials or private user attributes. So enterprises basically which have formed an association or an organization together, they can share the entities basically with the trusted CSPs. So trusted CSPs is basically the group of associations, and you do not have to share the major credentials or the private attributes. You can simply connect to those trusted organizations. So management of identity attributes also plays a role in federation. So the definition, the description, the management of mandatory, non-mandatory and key attributes, these are necessary steps for preparing for the federation. So this approach can also help organization extend the IAM processes and practices and implement a standardized federation model to federated entities and support single sign-on or reduced sign-on services to the cloud services. Federation technology is very useful as it is built on a centralized identity management architecture, and this is going to leverage the identity standards, identity management protocols. Some of the identity management protocols are SAML, which stands for Security Assertion Markup Language, Web Services Federation, that is termed as WS Federation, or Liberty Alliance. So SML, as I said, is very important and is gaining a lot of recognition. It is recognized as a de facto standard for enterprise controlled federation. So now let us see the different standards and specifications for the organizations. So these standards and specifications will help the organization implement effective and efficient user access management practices and processes in the cloud environment. So there are 4 challenges basically in user and access management. These are faced by the different cloud users. Like for example, how can I avoid duplication of identity attributes and credentials and provide a single sign-on user experience for my users? That is termed as, or it is covered under SAML, that is Security Assertion Markup Language. The next one is, how can I automatically provision user accounts with cloud services and automate the process of provisioning and deprovisioning? That comes under SPML, that is Service Provisioning Markup Language. The next 2 are, how can I provision user accounts with appropriate privileges and manage entitlement for my users? That is termed as XACML, that is Extensible Access Control Markup Language. And the last one is, how can I authorize Cloud Service X to access my data in the Cloud Service Y without disclosing the credentials? That is termed as O, or that is Open Authentication. So with respect to open authentication, they can connect with various cloud service providers without basically disclosing the credentials. So let us see about SSO, Single Sign-On Transaction. These are the steps basically using the SAML. You have basically 8 steps, in which first is the user in blue color trying to show that he is trying to connect to the Google or the start pages or some other service. And then the further steps are basically how the data is forwarded to the different servers and the customer identity provider, and how it is basically acknowledged. We will be seeing this in the forthcoming slides. So first step is where the user of your organization tries to attempt to reach a Google hosted application. It could be a Gmail, it could be a start page, or it could be another Google service. So once the request reaches the Google generates an SAML authentication request. SAML is Security Access Markup Language. Authentication request is reached. The SML request is encoded and embedded into the URL of your organization's IDP, that is Identity Provider, supporting the SSO service. Now what happens, the relay parameter basically is generated, which contains the encoded URL of the Google application that the user is trying to reach, is also embedded in the SSO URL. The relay parameter is basically meant to be an opaque identifier that is passed back without any modification or inspection. So the relay parameter is not modified, it's basically an opaque identifier, and it does not need any inspection also. Now once it reaches the Google will send a redirect to the user browser. Now the redirect URL browser includes the encoded SAML authentication request that should be submitted to the organization's IDP service, Identity Provider Service. Now your IDP decodes the SML request and extracts the URL from both the Google Assertion Consumer Service, that is termed as ACS, and the user destination, that is the URL, the relay parameter the user is trying to access. So your IDP then authenticates the user. Your IDP could authenticate the user either by using the access valid login credentials or by checking the valid session cookies. So either it could be the credentials or the cookies which are stored on the client browser's system. Now your IDP generates a SML response that contains the authenticator's user's name. So user's username is actually embedded in the user browser, or it could be embedded in the response. So as per SML specification 2, which is higher version, this response is basically digitally signed with the partners public and private DSA and RSA keys. So these are keys basically which are used in the form of public and private keys for authentication and encryption purposes. So the IDP encodes the SML response and the relay state parameter and returns that information to the user's browser. Now your IDP provides a mechanism so that the browser can forward that information to the Google ACS. For example, in this case, your IDP could embed the SML response and the destination URL in a form and provide a button on a user's browser that the user can click and submit a form to the Google. So your IDP can also include certain JavaScripts on the page that automatically submit the form to the Google. Now Google ACS will verify the SML response using your IDP public key. This is done, as I said, with respect to DSA or RSA public key encryption techniques. So if the response is successfully verified, ACS will redirect the user to the destination URL, the URL the user had requested. Then the URL has been redirected to the destination URL and is logged into the Google Apps. So these are certain assignments for today's questions, which includes the working of SAML and of course the challenges and the steps involved basically for the SSO process for Google case as an example, and also how the organization is trying to get ready for the cloud service usage. So this is an extension of the previous topic which we covered. Thank you for today, and if you have any queries, you can contact me at the specified email address. Thank you.